Did you guys feel the same way the community felt after the pay-per-view ended? I almost said Raw. It ended 10 minutes earlier than a pay-per-view usually does. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but it actually ended about 10 minutes earlier than usual, which is the first time that's happened in quite a while. And once again, we ended it in a Raw preview. And the freaking crowd was pissed. You could tell they were pissed live, and you went through social media, and they were freaking going insane. So when it faded out, were you guys on that boat?
Absolutely. I mean, think about this. A free Raw, you get over 3 hours of television. So then when you go and pay $50 for a pay-per-view, you're getting 2.5 hours.
60.
Or 60, yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think if you get the standard def, isn't it 50?
Yeah, something like that.
Standard definition. It's 2013.
Still, if you want to save $10 to watch a shitty pay-per-view. So yeah, exactly. You're actually getting more wrestling on free TV. Sure, commercials are in there and everything, but it ends up usually being a better show most weeks than the actual pay-per-view does. I don't know why they think not only to have a disappointing main event, but then end the show early and just sort of rob people even more of their money. It's really like, is this whole pay-per-view model even going to work anymore? I mean, is this profitable for them? I don't know, because it sure doesn't seem like it is.
I think pretty much you hit the nail on the head with the $1 million question, which is with things like the WWE Network coming out. Does the pay-per-view model work anymore? We got to think all the way back to how long pay-per-views have happened. And now with this, I think WWE is so damn obsessed with freaking social media and getting stuff trending, and maybe that's why they focus more on Raw than even the pay-per-views. Because, it's a Monday night primetime time slot, more people are active, and that's where you get all your audience, as opposed to pay-per-view where it's Sunday night, people might be getting ready for the week, and they just seem to really just want to get those social media numbers up.
I don't know if you read recently, it might have had to do with their quarterly conference calls that they do. I don't know if you ever read the results of those when they do that for the stockholders
Sometimes.
And whatnot. But there was something about their TV contracts are going to be up soon. So there's a big focus for them. Yes, there's a big focus for them to increase the ratings of their television, so that they think they can get like 3 times the money on their like television contracts. So that could be a reason that maybe they're pushing more for their Monday Night Raw to actually be the money maker for them. That's more profitable for them than the actual pay-per-views. It could be all about the money could finally be for wrestling in the television show and not in the pay-per-view, which is just the weird way that wrestling's always sort of centered around that big pay-per-view event. So, I mean, this could technically change the way wrestling works just on these contracts alone. I mean, I'm no financial expert, but it could be interesting to see what happens if they do get these huge contracts that they're looking to get. And maybe this whole network thing as well, the WWE network, is going to sort of phase out the traditional pay-per-view, and they're just going to push the network on you, except for WrestleMania, I think. But they're just going to always push you to buy the network thing, and pay-per-views are basically done away with. You'll just watch them on the actual network.
I'm pretty sure that's a model they're going to be heading into, and then maybe just have the big 4 pay-per-views actually be the only 4 pay-per-views, and then maybe have special themed events. The funny part is that's kind of what Impact's doing. TNA Wrestling, that's pretty much their model. They have these special edition live televised events, and then they have the bigger pay-per-views like Slammiversary and Bound for Glory.
Well, question for you. Have they talked about a subscription model for the WWE Network at all?
Yes.
So what if they just made
for like 4 years now?
Yeah, okay, so I'm not crazy. What if they just made the pay-per-views an incentive to subscribe to the WWE Network, so you're not paying that money every month, but
that's what we were saying.
Yeah, so the pay-per-views get lumped in with the subscription model, so you're not paying $60 for a subpar thing. They just kind of write it off like, oh, okay, well, I already paid for it, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to fully explain it to anyone who hasn't been caught up with that, because sometimes we make assumptions that everybody knows the shit that we know because we're so fucking smart, right?
Indeed.
So the model would be, you pay $9.99, $12.99, or $14.99, and all the pay-per-views would actually be included into the subscription. So the only pay-per-view that you would have to actually pay for would either be the big 4 pay-per-views, or even they've talked about just WrestleMania as the only one you have to pay for. And, that's usually the only show where you feel like you're actually getting your money's worth. So I think people will still be willing to shell out the money for Mania along with the subscription. So I think it could be the future wrestling model from, going forward.
To go back a little bit on that whole feel like you get what you paid for at WrestleMania. Do you really though? Because they charge you $10 more at WrestleMania. Yeah, you get a little bit more of a pay-per-view, but you're also paying a little bit extra, so doesn't that kind of even itself out?
Sort of, but WrestleMania is obviously always the big payoff of the year. People are always more willing to buy that than any other pay-per-view, and yes, it's a little more expensive, and yes, it can sometimes be a big disappointment, but it's still like year in and year out. You always want to see it,